Hey everybody, Norm over here. It is Guitar of the Day, and we do have a very special guest, kind of serendipitous. I was going to call him, he's an old friend of mine, to check out a few really cool things, and it just so happened he walked through the door today. He's a guy who comes in, quite often when he's in the area, but we don't see him as often as we like. And his name is Jonathan Stout over here. And this guy is my fave. For the style that he plays, there is nobody in the world, in my opinion, that can touch him. And he doesn't like when I say stuff, but it's true. And I'm not just kind of blowing smoke. When you hear him, you'll get it and you'll understand it. And we got a very special guitar over here.
Yeah.
This is
the real very special guest of the show.
Well, no, but this is a 1951 Stromberg Master 400, and it's the biggest of the arch tops. It's 19 inches, obviously spruce top, ebony fingerboard, but the workmanship is just spectacular. Fingerboard, the headstock design, tailpiece, wood is outrageous.
That is some of the most flame maple I've ever seen on anything ever. And, back in the day, if you were a pro musician in the 30s and 40s and 50s and you wanted an acoustic archtop, your options were either buy a Gibby or buy an Epiphone. They were two different companies back then. They were rivals. But if you were in New York and maybe you had a little extra scratch, maybe you'd go on Kenmare Street and get a John D'Angelico, or maybe if you were near Boston, you would get a Stromberg from Father and Son.
Right. Well, these were the two boutique top makers. The D'Angelico, which is a fabulous guitar, but the Stromberg, they made less of them.
Yeah, and because they made these massive bodies, it's also got just a single diagonal brace instead of an X or a parallel brace. And these were made to just be the biggest cannons of all time. And
they are. We don't really have the right strings on this, but it still sounds great.
Well, you can when you're playing it, you can feel how massive it feels. And I the first time I played one. And I got the same impression when I jumped on this. It feels almost like you're playing a string bass. Like it fills the physical space. Yeah. It's just a massive thing, and and this is one of the best playing examples I've ever come across.
The action is beautiful, as you can see here. It just really plays all up and down the neck.
And in tune, and just great.
Yeah,
killer.
So, Don, can we go out and kind of show these guys what this thing does?
You mean I get to play it some more?
You get to play it some more.
All right, let's do it.
All right, the great Jonathan Stout. Check him out. He is the bomb. Hey, everybody, Norm over here, and I'm honored to have my buddy Jonathan Stout in here. Now, this guy is the master of the 30s and 40s swing style solo guitar, and he plays with this band called the Campus 5, which are absolutely killer. Tell us about some of the stuff you're doing right now.
I'm going to be teaching at Matt Monisteri's Red Hot Strings Guitar Camp in Seattle, middle of next month. And I'll be in Seattle for a couple of dates. You can check my website, campus5.com, or at campus5 on Instagram. I'm going to be doing some trio shows that are very guitar-centric. So my regular band's like in a swing dance band, and so it's not exactly like guitar out front. So this is like, the trio stuff is guitar out front.
You got nothing to hide behind, right?
Yeah, and I think it's cool to kind of put that front and central, because there's not a lot of places. You have to kind of, even to hear the old stuff, you have to really hunt and peck for the recordings where they let the guitar player go to town.
And I know one of your favorites was Alan Roos, right?
Yep, that's my guy.
So he was like the king of swing.
Yeah, and he played with Benny Goodman during his kind of big heyday, but he would get these cool little chord melody guitar solos every once in a while, and then he did several out through the rest of the 40s that are like bonkers, the most swinging, the most killer, but they're like each one's on a different recording session by a different artist, so you have to track them all down, and unless you're really, really nerdy, you have to do the work, and there's no compilation you can just buy of him, which is a bummer, but he's like the best when it comes to
chord melody. He was a Gibson artist. They had guitars that they gave to him that he was pictured with back in the catalogs.
Yes, and I actually I've tracked down his number one guitar starting from 1938 forward, and I've gotten to play it 3 times now, going over to England, and at some point I think we'll work something out, because I'm Alan Roos's biggest fan, I think, on earth. But the funny thing is, it came through here.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, you bought it, and it ended up getting traded to a dealer in London, and the current owner got it there, and he's been a great steward of it since then. and lets me come and play it whenever I visit. So
And
I'm
one
so
thing-
grateful for that.
You did a video we have the Mills Brothers
Yeah.
L5 in here, and they are another band that was beyond belief. They were so good. Some of the videos where they do like these horn things
Oh, yeah.
vocally, they were in a class by themselves.
Yeah. There's a couple bands that did a similar thing, but I think the Mills Brothers were by far the most successful. I mean,
Killer.
there were the Ink Spots and Cats and the Fiddle and a couple others, Spirits of Rhythm, but like the Mills Brothers were still around 30 years later. They're on by the time TV rolls around, they're on TV a lot, and they're killer.
Dean
And that-
Martin, a lot of those. Dean Martin,
Exactly.
they were his favorite band,
Yeah,
actually. so.
and that was a killer L5 that, if I recall correctly, sold.
No, we
Oh.
still have it. It's in
See?
the back. It's with the picture. We have so much memorabilia to go with it. It's probably the coolest piece of memorabilia in a lot of ways that we've had because it's so documented. We have all kinds of pictures of them playing in Japan and playing everywhere. A death certificate for the guy Norman Brown, who was
Yeah.
the guitar player. I mean, just on and on. An actual painting with the guitar in the
Yeah.
painting. It's on 2 album covers.
Believe it or not, they pick up the phone here. They answer emails. So if you want that guitar, you can just make that happen. They will sell it to you. And it was really good.
cool. And I noticed you were one of your videos lately. You were talking about these 2-note chords that you were doing as well, which I thought was real cool.
Yeah.
It's choosing the right 2 notes to make it.
Well, I kind of got that idea from George Van Epp. So like sometimes if I wanted to play a melody note like this D, I would think to play it down here and have a fuller chord, but then I'd have to move my hand down. And I realized Van Epp would do this thing where he would just play like just 2 notes and you'd get it. And I was just I don't want to plug any other YouTube channels, but I know this
You can do
guy Nathaniel Murphy. Who does amazing videos for some other stores and does amazing kind of modern chord melody arrangements of things. And we got to meet, and we were just sort of talking about how even though we play entirely different styles, that challenge of like how many notes do you need to play so that you hear the melody and
What
you
you
hear the
need,
chord,
yeah.
and that it's sort of like this little puzzle, and it's kind of fun. And so to figure out like, oh, I can actually play one less note and move my fingers in an easier way. And I was like, oh, well, that almost feels like cheating. But if you hear it and it works.
Well, there's 6 strings. You can play 6-note chord. You can
Yeah.
play 5, 4, 3. But it's what you need to play to get the feel and the sound and the voicings that you need that are absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
So what are you going to play for us now?
Well,
and
I
by
mean-
the way, this is a 1951 Master 400.
Yeah.
This guitar, Stromberg. It's about as beautiful it gets, and it's also the biggest.
You know,
of the
I don't want to be untoward, but you gotta check out the backside on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, the flame is like, almost as 3D as I've ever seen on anything.
And the Stinger.
Oh, yeah.
is really cool.
The thing about Master 400s is I've played a handful over the years, and I think a lot of times they were meant to be this rhythm instrument where they'd almost be like a string bass, but in the guitar range, and they have this massive low end. But because people like Freddie Green played them with crazy high action, I don't think a lot of the ones that I played really played that great.
One time I had a choice.
But this
a chance
one
to
plays
buy
great,
one
just-
that was Irving Ashby's,
Right.
which was really cool. And the action was so high, and the neck was dipped and all that. It needed a lot of work, but it was a cool guitar and it was very historical. I should have bought it. One of my stupid moves that I
think
later
you've made more
regretted.
good. I think you've made more good ones than bad ones. So.
I've done all right, but done a few boo-boos along the way. So let's hear what you're going to do.
Well,
what tune are you going to play?
But I want to say, just because some of the ones I've come across didn't play well, the point I mentioned about that is just how good this one plays. This one plays really
Easy to play.
effortlessly, easy, and with old archtops, because they're old, sometimes they don't get taken care of, and they don't come in playable condition. And so when you find one that the work's already done, it's just so much easier. And so
There wasn't
it's
much
great.
work ever needed on this guitar. This thing is just incredible condition and just beautiful.
I think you kept it well also.
Well, I've had it for quite a while, and I'm the steward. Now we're going to look for a new steward, So, and so, what are you going to play? What tune are you going to play?
I think we'll do a little bit of an old tune called Sugar, and there's a whole bunch of songs called Sugar. So this one is subtitled My Sugar Baby of Mine.
Okay,
So it's from
cool.
the
Are you going to
30s.
sing on this? Or
I'm going to croak it out just because I'm here by myself. I think I'll throw in a vocal chorus just to pad things out. So
I always like that.
I'm a very good guitar player, I think, sort of in this thing.
Very good's the underestimated.
I won't authorize my singing as, Bing Crosby has nothing to worry about. So.
I don't think he's worrying these days, but you play the style better than anybody alive, as far as I'm concerned.
What do I owe you for those plugs?
$5.
Oh, great, cool. There we go.
The great Jonathan Stout. Let's hear Sugar, buddy.
All right. So. Sugar, I call my baby my sugar. I'm so sweet on my sugar. That sugar baby of mine, she's confectionery, honey. She never asks for my money, and all I can give her is honey that she can get anytime. I'd take a million trips to her lips if I were a bee, but then she's sweeter than any candy to me. She's granulated sugar. I call my baby my sugar, and I'd never cheat on my sugar. That sugar baby of mine.
Hey, that was killer.
Thank you.
The great Jonathan Stout. I mean, he plays this stuff better than anybody. Do me one favor, too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know you do this as well. And can you play some single note stuff that
Oh, yeah, man.
on this, just so they hear how this thing plays and, what you something that has some
bet.
single notes.
You bet. Let's see. How about a little bit of this? Just so they know what song it is.
Okay. Jonathan Stout. I mean, this guy is absolutely killer. and you play that style so well. And you know, one time we talked about this when you were younger. You started out playing rock and stuff, didn't
Yeah.
you? Before you
Yeah.
got into this stuff.
Well, I'm really lucky that I really loved grunge music as a 90s kid, but I happened to start playing just before that kind of took over. And so things like Metallica, like I wanted to learn to play things that were like a little bit shreddy. So I always wanted to have some facility. And I was lucky when I moved to this that I already like kind of knew some scales and knew some note names and could get around the guitar a little bit. So I'm really grateful. But, you know, I think there's definitely something about having, even when I love this historical style of music that I try to carry on. There's so many commonalities no matter what genre of music you're in. I meet so many different guitar players, you know, sometimes through the internet, sometimes whatever. And it's funny because even if they're not into this genre, there's something about it that's similar to what they're doing. And even like when I hear things like electronic dance music, I'll hear like, oh yeah, it's the same thing as a swing band because it's dance music. So whether it's something in a Metallica song or something Trent Reznor said in Guitar Player magazine in 1994, where he talked about like, if you want to get really heavy, you have to not just be heavy and then get even heavier because there's nowhere to go. It's only one louder.
Yeah.
But like
sounds like Spinal Tap. Yeah.
Exactly. But if you like whisper and then you scream, like the scream means more.
Dynamics.
And when I write like big band charts for my big band, the Jonathan Stout Orchestra, like I'm sometimes thinking about that thing that I read that Trent Reznor said in 1994 and be like, hey, you know, that makes a perfect sense. I'll put a very quiet stride piano solo and then hit the shout chorus with all the horns going nuts and it'll feel so much, you know, awesomer. So, but yeah, I started out playing in this store because I'm a Valley kid. I grew up here, so I remember when the store was at the old location and went in there. And you know, one of the great things about this place that you have is, you know, anybody can come in here. You know, you have to be housebroken. You have to be kind. You have to be a good person and not be rude. But like, you know, real normal people can walk in and see these amazing guitars and play them. And you know, making that available is really cool because sometimes I think. You know, if you just look at vintage guitars on the internet, they seem sort of an unobtainium thing, and like to actually like feel them and understand them in person is such a huge gift. So I'm grateful. I grew up dropping by every once in a while.
They all do different things, and they're all capable. I mean, you could play metal guitar on this guitar. It's not quite appropriate.
I think he's daring me to. I think he's. Is that what he's daring me to?
All right, let's hear something here.
I'm gonna call it a day with a little bit.
We're
of
about all different styles of music, and this guy redefines the style that you're doing, the 30s swing, 40s swing. That stuff is killer, and so we just want you guys to hear a bit of everything. But you want to know who the master is of this style? Jonathan Stout over here. Where do they find you, Jonathan?
Campus5.com, on Instagram at Campus5, and that's F-I-V-E, all spelled out. And like I said, I'll be in Seattle middle of this month with a trio show on 5/19 and some other shows in town. And then make a note in October, September or October. No, October, I'll be in... Oh crap! Now I can't remember. I'm going to be in New York later this year.
He's better at playing than remembering. You know, so.
I didn't prep my dates, but anyway, I'll be around. And you know, the funny thing is, I'm a band leader usually, so I think some people just think, oh, you do your own projects, but you know, like if you're a singer and you're looking for that kind of thing as a backup, like. You know, I exist. I take gigs if you're a studio person and you need rhythm guitar for that thing, and all of the other great studio guitarists in Los Angeles are busy.
I've seen you do it with a lot of other people, and I'll tell you, they're getting the best of the best when they get Jonathan Stout.
Too kind.
So
too kind.
I really no, it's true. So you guys all play who are watching. You know what I'm talking about. This is like it's like doing the quadruple flip off of a high dive. This guy, what he does. Is not done by most people.
I'm no Lemo, but I get by.
All right. Well, I'll settle for that. Jonathan, thank you, buddy.
Thank you,
Jonathan Stout.
Cheers, everybody.